Everybody loves a good deal, and Canada is no different. But what kind of deal are we going to get on trade with the United States? Will it be a good deal, or will Canada end up as an economic colony of the United States? No one knows for certain what the final deal will look like, but we are getting some hints. Many of us expected a deal in June, but June is come and gone with no deal. Well, that means Canada has not capitulated. That's good, right? Wait, not so quick. Yes, it could mean that Canada is fighting issue by issue to get the best deal, but it could also mean that Carney has a deal so bad that he feels he cannot bring it back to Canadians. Remember, the Liberals have a minority government. A good trade deal could catapult them back into majority territory, but a bad trade deal could make a mockery of Carney's elbows up rhetoric. It's not hard to imagine the Conservative war room churning out ad after ad about elbows down Carney. So what messages are coming out of the White House? Here's Caroline Leavitt, Trump's press secretary, talking about how Canada is hard to deal with and that 35% tariffs are the deal.
Unfortunately, our neighbors to the north have been pretty difficult to deal with when it comes to matters on trade. But in trade, generally speaking, as you know, 25 countries have received letters thus far from the president directly with his big, beautiful signature on them, from Japan to Korea, South Africa, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, just a few countries, and Canada also received a letter for 35%. With that said, if countries want to have legitimate further discussions, the Trump administration and the president's trade team are willing to have further talks, but these letters these countries have been receiving are the deals.
The first part of her statement about Canada being hard to deal with is ambiguous. It could be good or it could be bad, but that part about 35% being the deal, that is definitely bad. So what other hints do we see? The other day, Mark Carney launched a trial balloon. A trial balloon is when a politician talks about something in kind of generic terms just to get people used to the idea. And in this case, Carney's trial balloon was about tariffs being inevitable. Here's what he had to say.
There isn't a lot of evidence that any country has gotten a deal without U.S. tariffs, Carney said. His first admission that Trump tariffs on Canada might be here to stay.
If Carney is warning Canadians that tariffs are inevitable, it means that a bad deal is coming. Remember, Trump is a big believer in tariffs. This is his signature economic policy. This is the means by which he intends to set the American finances right. It looks like, on this particular point, he is not willing to give an inch. But there is one more huge hint that we have, and that comes from the president himself. He says that he thinks that negotiations with Canada are going to work out very well. Here's what he had to say.
Trump today sounded more optimistic about how talks are going.
We're negotiating with Canada right now, and we'll see how that all works out. I think it's going to work out very well.
But what does this mean? Maybe Canadians are saying to themselves, oh, well, maybe the deal's not going to be so bad. But remember who's saying this. It's Donald Trump. And you can trust Donald Trump. You can trust Donald Trump to put America first, ahead of friendship, ahead of historical ties, ahead of fairness. It's America first, and if necessary, America alone. So given that Trump is saying that he thinks that the negotiations are going to work out very well, you can be assured that he means it's going to work out very well for America, not necessarily Canada. And that suggests a bad deal is coming. Okay, well, if a bad deal is coming, what is it going to look like? Here's my thoughts on this. Supply chain management is over. Instead, Canada will be forced to bring in massively expensive subsidies the way the Americans do for our dairy industry. They will be demanded by Quebec as the price of remaining in Confederation, and Quebec always gets what it wants. And they always get what they want, despite the fact that they're no longer the kingmaker in Canadian politics. The United States will get a right of first refusal on purchasing Canadian rare earth minerals. Development of these mineral resources will proceed on an accelerated basis, and there will be no unseemly delays for environmental concerns. Canadian goods entering the United States will be subject to a tariff. I'm guessing about 15%. And Canada will not be permitted to have its own reciprocal tariffs. As for Mark Carney, He'll be all smiles. He'll pretend that it's a great deal, that he was tough for Canadians, that he was elbows up. But in fact, he's been elbows down. Very, very weak. In other words, Canada will become an economic vassal of the United States. That's the bad deal that's coming. Let me know what you think in the comments.